After 9 hours at the ER, I came home to my neighbor screaming about my overgrown lawn. "This isn't a slum. Fix it or I will," he said. The next morning, my garden was slashed, my tools gone. So I waited until he left for work and I never expected to end up in a stupid neighbor war at 42 years old, especially not after what happened that night. It started with my wife. She fainted in the kitchen around 6:30 p.m. No warning. Just dropped the spoon she was using to stir the sauce and hit the floor hard. I heard it from the living room. The way she landed scared the hell out of me. I thought she broke something. I got her into the car and sped to the ER. We waited almost 4 hours before anyone even told us what was wrong. Dehydration, low blood pressure, stress. I didn't leave the hospital until 3:20 in the morning. My shirt still smelled like tomato sauce and hospital coffee. I came home dead tired. Barely locked the front door. Fell asleep on the couch because I didn't even make it to the bedroom. I was woken up maybe 3 hours later by a loud knock. Not a polite knock. Like someone had something to prove. I opened the front door and there he was, Ron. My next-door neighbor. Standing on my front step with his arms crossed and a face like he just bit into something sour. "This isn't a slum," he said. "No good morning. No hello. Your yard looks like trash. Fix it or I will." I just stared at him. I hadn't brushed my teeth yet. My eyes were still adjusting to daylight. I didn't even know what he was talking about at first. He pointed at my front lawn. Yeah, it was overgrown. It had rained for a few days and I hadn't had time to mow. But it wasn't like there were rats running through it. It was grass. "I was at the hospital all night," I mumbled. My wife collapsed. He didn't even blink. "Not my problem," he said. "I've warned you before." He had. Sort of. A month earlier I found a typed note in my mailbox about property values and maintaining neighborhood standards. No name, but it had his voice all over it. That day, I was too tired to argue. I closed the door while he was still standing there. I heard him say something as he walked away, but I didn't catch it. I didn't mow the lawn that day. I spent the day on the phone with doctors, sorting out meds, trying to help my wife get up and down the stairs. I passed out around 9 p.m., phone still in my hand. The next morning, I went out to get my tools, and stopped dead. My shed was wide open. The lock was busted clean off. My mower, my rake, the trimmer, all gone. The shelves were empty. My raised beds were destroyed. Tomato plants, peppers, even the little sunflowers my daughter planted, cut down. Like someone just took a machete and went wild. Dirt everywhere. Broken pots. Wooden frame smashed in. I stood there for a long time. Something in my head just shut off. Like my brain couldn't process what I was seeing. I walked back inside, sat on the kitchen chair, and just stared at my coffee cup. I didn't even bother calling the police. I knew who did it. I just couldn't prove it. That's when something clicked. I didn't yell. I didn't knock on his door and scream like some unhinged man. I just waited. For the next 4 days, I stayed home. Told work I needed time for a family medical situation, which wasn't a lie. I parked my car 2 blocks away so Ron wouldn't see me come or go. Sat on the porch out of sight. I watched his routine. Ron left for work every weekday at 7:15 a.m. Same gray Toyota truck. Same navy blue lunch bag. His wife left later, maybe around 10. She didn't seem to notice anything. The sprinklers came on at 5:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. sharp. His trash day was Tuesday. He always brought the bins in by noon. His backyard had a locked gate, but it didn't latch right. On Friday, I started my response. I waited until his trash can was out on the curb. I filled it with 6 bags of clippings from my destroyed garden, wet, heavy, smelling like mold. I stuffed them in so the lid wouldn't shut all the way. He got a citation from the HOA for that. I know because he complained about it loudly on the phone the next morning. The next week, I took a bottle of industrial-strength weed killer and accidentally spilled it into the ground right next to his prized roses. 2 days later, the petals started browning. By day 5, the whole row was dead. His wife cried on the porch while looking at them. But I wasn't finished. Ron liked rules. He loved the HOA. He'd quote the handbook like scripture. So I started reading that handbook too. And I started taking notes. He had a fence that was painted a color not listed in the approved palette. His mailbox was half an inch too wide. He left his holiday lights up until February. He had an extra car parked in the driveway that was never registered. I took pictures. Dated, timestamped. Created a file on my laptop. Then I found something better. I was scrolling through Craigslist one night and saw a post that looked familiar. The background in the photo matched Ron's backyard shed. He was renting out his basement. Quiet tenant preferred, cash only, private entrance, which didn't exist. So I called the city. Sent them the listing. Sent the photo. The inspection happened 2 weeks later. I was home that day. I watched through the blinds as 3 city workers showed up. Ron tried to talk his way out of it, but they went inside anyway. He came out red-faced and furious. His wife kept asking what was going on. A few days later, he got slapped with a hefty fine for an illegal rental and code violations. I know because I saw the notice stapled to his front door. Still, I wasn't done. That night, I went into my own destroyed shed. I slipped a single sheet of notebook paper into a gap in the wood. It said, "Next time, stay out of my garden." I wore gloves. Didn't leave anything traceable. Didn't damage anything. Just that one sentence. Now every time Ron sees me, he freezes. He knows. He just doesn't know what I'll do next. And honestly? Neither do I. A week after the city fine, Ron stopped doing yard work altogether. That might not sound like a big deal, but this was the same man who once complained about my recycling bin being out past noon. His lawn started to yellow. He missed a week of trimming his hedges. The bushes by his mailbox got overgrown. I caught him staring at my house sometimes, just standing there in the middle of his driveway with his arms crossed. I didn't wave. Then one night around midnight, I saw headlights flash across my living room. I peeked through the curtain. A car slowed down in front of Ron's house, then sped off. Didn't think much of it until the next morning. Someone had dumped 2 full bags of garbage on his front steps. Not mine. But disgusting. Rotten meat, empty beer bottles, something that looked like a used diaper. His wife came out and screamed. I heard her from inside my kitchen. He started to lose it after that. 2 days later, I came home to find a private security camera mounted on the edge of his roof. It pointed right at my driveway. The red light blinked all night. He didn't say a word about it. He didn't have to. That camera was him talking. So I installed one too. Not because I needed it. Just because I knew it would drive him nuts. That same night, I noticed something else. Ron's truck wasn't parked in his usual spot. It was up closer to the curb. That wouldn't have mattered, except that technically, street parking wasn't allowed overnight in our development. HOA Rule 3.14, Paragraph B. I waited 3 nights. Took pictures each time. Printed them. Mailed them anonymously. He got another violation. $75 fine. He knocked on my door the day after the letter showed up. First time since the screaming incident. I opened it. Said nothing. "You think this is funny?" he said, holding the letter like it was a threat. "I don't know what you're talking about. You're behind this. All of it. You mean the city fines? The dead roses? The garbage? I thought you didn't have problems with other people's problems." His face twitched. His hands were shaking. "I didn't touch your damn garden." I didn't reply. Just looked at him. Long enough to make him uncomfortable. He left. That's when things started getting weird. My mailbox got knocked off the post a few nights later. Not broken, just unscrewed and tossed onto the lawn. I tightened it back on and added a camera facing the street. The next week, someone walked through my backyard. Left footprints in the mud behind the shed. Nothing stolen this time. Just a presence. A message. I checked the footage. Blurry. Looked like Ron's build, but it was too dark to tell for sure. I printed a still from the video and taped it to the outside of my shed. No note. No words. Just the image. 2 days later, the camera on Ron's roof was gone. He stopped parking out front. Stopped talking loud on the phone outside. And that man hasn't mowed his lawn in 3 weeks. I think he's waiting. For what, I don't know. But so am I. 3 more weeks passed. Ron barely came outside anymore. His lawn was half dead. Weeds creeping up along the walkway. His blind stayed shut, even during the day. Whatever ego he used to walk around with, it was gone. Then, one afternoon, something shifted. I came home from picking up prescriptions for my wife and saw a moving truck parked in front of Ron's house. Not a big one, just a white box truck with no logos. 2 guys loading a couch and some boxes into it. His wife stood near the door, arms folded, not talking to anyone. Ron wasn't outside. I didn't say a word. Just stood on my porch and watched. They left within an hour. Later that night, the lights in the house were still on, but the truck was gone. I didn't know what to make of it. Maybe they were just getting rid of furniture. The next morning, I found a letter on my front step. No envelope. Just folded once. It said, "I know what you're doing. You're not as smart as you think." No name. No signature. I knew it was him. But I didn't say anything. Didn't react. Instead, I went to my old work laptop, the one I'd used before I left my job 2 months back. I pulled up the files I had collected on Ron. Photos. Violation letters. Even the Craigslist ad for the illegal basement rental. I compiled them all into one neat PDF. Then I emailed it. Not to the HOA. Not to the city. To every house on our block. Subject line. In case you're wondering why the neighborhood's gone to hell. Within 3 hours, I saw Ron's front door open. He stormed out to his truck, stood in the driveway pacing while yelling into his phone. His wife followed him, trying to calm him down. People started walking by slowly. Neighbors I barely knew before. One of them, Jared from 3 houses down, walked right up to me on my porch. "You sent that email?" I just looked at him. "Does it matter?" He smiled. "Guess not." Later that night, around 11:30, my motion sensor lights kicked on. I went outside, expecting more footprints. But it wasn't that. My garden, what was left of it, was on fire. Someone had poured lighter fluid across what used to be the tomato beds and lit it. It didn't spread far. I stomped it out with my boots before it got bad. Called the fire department just in case. They came and left quickly. Said it looked like someone tried to scare me. They weren't wrong. But it did the opposite. That night, I moved a cot into the shed. I stayed there until morning. Because I knew this wasn't over. Not yet. I haven't spoken to Ron since the fire. He still lives across the street. Still keeps his blinds closed, still avoids everyone. The HOA left him alone after a while, and I let the garden go, just let the weeds take it. Every now and then, I see him looking at the empty beds like they say something about both of us. Maybe they do. I thought getting even would make me feel better, but all it really did was show me how far I'd go when no one's watching. And I think about that more than I think about him.